It's interesting because the world or society seems to praise ambition. We seem to put ambitious people on a pedestal. We seem to award ambitious people, and so even for me as an aspiring entrepreneur, ambition was something that was important. The dictionary definition of ambition is a strong will to achieve something. And what you'll find is that walking with God is completely the opposite to being ambitious. In fact, you can't be ambitious and walk with God. Ambitious and being ambitious is arrogance in the eyes of God. You see that with the story of Lucifer, the fallen angel, is his desire, his ambition to rise above his rank, rise above the place that God had put him, and to become like God, got him kicked out of heaven. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I think on one hand, you've got our culture telling us how great it is to be ambitious, but what's interesting is when you look at those that walked with God and have achieved great things, ambition was really never part of their life. Ambition is not really a prerequisite to be used by God, and I think we, as young adults, are quick to forget that. We think God somehow needs our ambition or wants our strategies and thoughts, and I'm guilty of that just as much as the next person. But I look at my heroes like Moses or David or Abraham, and it's like none of these guys wanted to be the people that we look to now and think, oh wow, we want to be like those guys. Those guys were just being obedient to God. And in fact, what if you when you read the New Testament and you read the times where the word selfish ambition is used, it's also interpreted as self-seeking, but you'll find that when you are walking in ambition, it's very hard to be humble, and it's very hard to walk in humility as well as obeying the truth. In fact, James 3:16 tells us that where there is jealousy, and again this word selfish ambition, there you'll find all kinds of evil practices. And it's so true. The ones that are ambitious are the ones that are tempted to cut corners, to do anything to achieve. It's just an interesting thought, because I think there's a very strong emphasis in our culture to be ambitious, when really God has never called us to be ambitious. He's called us to be obedient, and we forget that. So for me as an aspiring entrepreneur, I think, well, what do I do with that information? Like, if I'm not supposed to be ambitious, what am I supposed to do then? Just kind of sit around and wait? And I think the answer is something like, to use a cliche nowadays, is be the best version of yourself. But the way I would say it is, focus on your character. I think God uses those that have a strong character and a sense of integrity. I think there may be a false understanding, because the Bible says that God uses the foolish things of this world to put to shame the wise, that God just picks idiots and he just uses like these random idiots and he makes them great. And the truth is that anyone that God has used is by far not an idiot, and by far not randomly chosen. These individuals have been have kind of got God's attention by through the way they live, and often it's through a life of holiness. Often it's through a life of integrity and obedience, and being a man after God's own heart. And that's also something interesting that's lacking in today's society, is that sense of integrity. You've got society that's praising ambition as at any cost, by any means necessary, and then you've got God who's kind of lifting up those who are integrous and have humility and obedient and walk in the truth. And so that's the end. That's the end of that thought.